Let's bring in House Budget Committee member, Texas Congressman Chip Roy. Congressman, it's great to see you. You voted present last night on the Budget Committee vote. It moved it out of the committee. The word I heard earlier today was that President Trump might be going to Capitol Hill tomorrow to rally the troops, rally votes. If the president says to you, Congressman Roy, I need you to vote for this big, beautiful, albeit not perfect bill, will you?
Well, we got to keep working on the bill while we're meeting today. We're going to be meeting with the folks from the White House as we did today. We'll be meeting with them some more tonight, tomorrow, no doubt. We all are here to advance the agenda that the president ran on and that we all ran on. We need to extend the Trump tax cuts, but we also need to deliver on the spending restraint. And no, I don't think the bill is exactly where it needs to be yet. The reason we voted present was because we still have significant concerns. We made a lot of progress over the weekend. We're able to move the needle on Medicaid work requirements. As you know, it was absurdly set at 2029. We were able to move some of that forward. But again, none of this is done yet. We don't have a bill with language yet that reflects any of that. So we still need to see those things. We need to see where they are on the green new scam subsidies. Dagan, by my calculation, even if we get everything we want, we still have 40 to 50% of the green new scam subsidies continuing over the next decade. I don't think that that is honoring the president's desire and campaign promises to say that we need to terminate the green new scams. I think Congress can do a better job. Yep. Look, Scott Bessent isn't wrong. They're out there doing a lot of great things. Congress needs to step to the plate. And to the Speaker's point, we've been making progress. I think we can continue to work through this and get this done. But if they try to rush it through and do what they often do, which is use Memorial Day in this case for jet fumes, I think they're going to run into a brick wall. And I don't think that would be good, especially in light of what Moody's did with their bond ratings. You know, I used to work in bonds. I was a investment banking bond analyst. I remember hanging on to every rating very closely. I think those ratings do matter, and we need to get those ratings back up to the AAA levels they ought to be.
Yes. You know, Congressman, in my opinion, Moody's has done this before. It's political. We've seen this play by them. The market reaction, that yawn that Dagan mentioned earlier. What else? You've mentioned the Green New Scam. What else do you want to see that gets you to that yes vote to Dagan's earlier question?
Yeah, I'd like to see more of the deficit numbers that we're seeing that are front-loaded be brought down. Right now, if you look at the chart with the data and the analysis that is most favorable to the big, beautiful bill, it still shows about $1.4 trillion in additional deficit spending over the first 5 years. Then it drops off. And in the last 5 years, you get significant deficit reduction so that it works out to be close to a wash. Now, my problem is I've been in D.C. for a little bit, but anybody watching this, would you go bet your life savings that in 5 years we're going to wake up and find those savings? No. The problem is we're going to be ramping up deficits for the next 3 or 4 years. Now, some of that's okay. Tax policy that we want to put in place for growth, and we want to make sure that we're dealing with the border and the defense. I get that. But the idea that we're going to have magical savings in 5 years never materializes. And I think one other point about this, the tax policy is not high growth tax policy. The expensing is important, but the corporate rate reductions are already permanent. We're talking about a lot of stuff like child tax credits, standard deductions, lower marginal rates for lower end brackets. None of that is high growth tax policy. So I'm a little skeptical of the out year on that. I think the growth we're going to get is from the stuff we're hearing Scott Bessent, the president, talking about. And that, by the way, is why we assume 2.6% growth and we assume $2.5 trillion dynamic scoring. And what I just told you about was all dynamically scored. We still have massive deficits in the first 5 years.
And the big unknown is what the states who did not accept the Obamacare Medicaid expansion will do unless Congress and unless people follow your lead and change the formula that the government sends Medicaid payments to the states. Because it is an abomination that states that expanded Obamacare, or expanded Medicaid, get $9 from the federal government for every dollar that they spend on a healthy, able-bodied man. And that they get, what, $1.33 for every dollar that they spend on a blind person or an elderly elderly person or a pregnant woman, as an example, because those 10 states, Congressman, will wind up expanding Obamacare under Medicaid, and it will bankrupt this country.
Yeah, Dagan, I couldn't say it better. Thank you for bringing that up. That was the last piece that I wanted to raise. And that is so critically important because it risks the expansion of Obamacare's Medicaid expansion in the non-expansion states like Texas, like Georgia, like Florida, like Tennessee. I think that's a real problem. And it runs the risk of eating all of the savings that we're currently seeing in the Medicaid proposals. Now, again, I want to be clear. We've made progress. We do have savings. We do have some growth tax policies that are in this bill. But we've got a long way to go, in my opinion, this week to get this locked down, and we need to work to do it. I stayed here all weekend. I'll stay here into Memorial Day. We shouldn't rush it in the next 24 hours and risk what you just pointed out, which is bad Medicaid and Obamacare policies, which will potentially eat up all the savings.
Congressman Chip Roy, great to see you, sir.
Thanks, Congressman.
You keep fighting that fight, sir. You
We
fight
will.
that
God
fight.
bless y'all.